Hey guys, Jason Schnitzer here with O.C Realtor Talk, and what I've got for you today is I'd like to break down the purchase contract a little bit and talk about contingencies. Now, our contracts here in California are all drawn up by California Association of Realtors attorneys, and quite honestly, they're very buyer protective contract. The way that I usually like to explain it to my clients is for the first half of escrow or so, depending on, of course, how long escrow is, the seller carries most of the burden of risk, and it's very buyer protective. And what I mean by that is there are three main built-in contingencies with all of our purchase contracts. And now I'd like to read for you a quick definition of what I believe contingency is. It basically means the term refers to conditions that have to be met in order for the purchase of the home to be finalized. And for example, our three main contingencies are the physical inspection contingency, the loan contingency, and the appraisal contingency. Now, basically, if the buyer backs out of the contract before any and all those contingencies are met, they get their deposit back and they can go back out and be on their merry way, going and buying a different property, and the seller would have no recourse. But if the buyer breaks contract after they remove their contingencies for inspection, appraisal, or loan, then, and again, this is typically during the second half of escrow, then the buyer's deposit is at risk. So for the first half of escrow, when the buyer's contingencies are in place, the seller is the one carrying the risk. In the event the buyer backs out, the buyer will get their deposit, and then the seller would have to go back on the market. But like I said, once those contingencies are removed, the risk is on the buyer. And again, that's typically towards the second half of escrow. So once those contingencies get removed, if the buyer breaks contract after that, then the buyer's deposit would be at risk, and the buyer would be the one carrying the risk at that point in fear of potentially losing their earnest money deposit, which is typically between 1% and 3% of the purchase price. So with our median prices being above $780,000, that's typically between $15,000 and $30,000. Not too many people wanting to walk away from that much money. So it's really important that you talk to your realtor during and before, during, and after the transaction, just with regards to those contingency timelines, because they're very pivotal for both buyer and seller. So again, this is one of those FAQs that we get a lot from both buyer and seller, so hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how our contract works and how contingencies work in an escrow transaction. Thanks again for watching. If you guys found this helpful or thought that maybe a certain friend of yours would find it helpful, please feel free to tag them or share this video. The more people we can help better understand real estate, how the transactions work, believe the more it's going to help them and their families when it comes to making decisions on what's usually their most expensive asset. So again, thanks for watching, and catch you guys on the next one. Hey guys, thanks again for watching this week's episode of O.C Realtor Talk. If you gained any value from this video, we'd really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and followed us on all our social media platforms.
Yeah, what Jason I believe is really, really important for you, whether you're buying a house or selling a house, is understanding the process and knowing exactly what you're getting into. So if you ever have any questions, just follow the links below and we'll get you those answers.